Welcome to Rapscast. This is episode 5 or episode 4.5, depending on how you look at it. Sorry we couldn't bring you one last week, but we'll get into the reasons why later. Me and Kyle are now back here in studio. We're getting ready to kick off episode 5. Kyle, how you doing, man?
Man, it's a good night. Feeling good. Ready to do a Rapscast.
All right. Well, you look good, man. You look
Thank
ready.
You. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
So kind of you.
Let's dive into this pool.
Okay, so, man, Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
He got injured. Out for the season.
Did. Yeah, well, he tore his right rotator cuff in his shoulder, which is typically a 6 to 8 month recovery period. He elected to have surgery right now on it. And the question that everybody's asking is, well, of course we know that his contract doesn't expire until the end of next season, which during that season, by the way, he'll be making $25 million.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, not a bad life, right? Is Kobe's retirement likely to come between this season and next, or is he going to try and grind it out? What do you see Kobe doing, and what plan of action do you see him taking?
I don't think he's going to retire for 2 reasons. One, that's a lot of money. You don't leave that money on the table, okay? If you retire, you don't get all that money, and you don't leave $25 million on the table, no matter what, okay? But also, Kobe Bryant is the most mentally tough player in the entire league, and he's probably one of my favorite players of all time because the way, you know what, the guy enjoys basketball so much. Like, he gets so much of a thrill playing basketball, and you see it on his face. It's like watching the Raptors. There is no one I would bet on more than Kobe Bryant to come back. Even at 36, 37 years old, he is coming back. He loves the game too much. He likes money. He's not Steve Nash.
I agree that he loves the game so much, and I'm sure that like most of the bones in his body are pulling him to come back and give it a last try. But I also know that he's got a big, fat ego. And I think that maybe being around for the last year and being a bit of a below-average player, maybe more of a bench warmer or a role player, whatever you want to put it, not what we're used to seeing from Kobe Bryant, could maybe deter his decision. He doesn't want to be, just a scrub in the NBA. He's never had to live that before, and I'm not sure he wants to now. Do I think he'll retire? I wouldn't. I mean, like you said, $25 million, all he has to do is stick around and like stay on the bench for the whole season if that what happens, if he gets injured. But it's a sad thing to see the way his career is coming to an end. Kobe, obviously one of the best players ever. Not exactly walking away from the game, but proverbially letting the game walk away from him. So it's a very sad storyline to follow. Kobe, likely to retire and really marred the end of his career.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be a chip on his shoulder, something to use to propel him, prove the doubters wrong. I also don't see him riding the bench just because that's the type of things that's why Steve Nash is retiring and not playing games, because he doesn't want to ruin his career averages. I mean, players are conscious of this, right? Players like Nash and Kobe, they know their legacy and they don't want that to diminish. So, yes, I don't see him coming in and playing horribly. He'd be just as pissed off about that, but I don't see him coming in playing 15 minutes a game just because he doesn't want to ruin those averages. It's very important for him in the long run.
All right, so why don't you send us into our second topic so far today?
So Klay Thompson, he now holds he's a part of history.
Yeah.
37 points in a quarter.
Yeah.
Most the players ever hit.
That's right. Yeah, I heard I read Jack Todd of the Gazette compare it to, for people who didn't know basketball, that's like Max Pacioretty scoring 5 goals in a period.
That's a lot of goals.
Yeah, that is a lot of goals. But he did it on, it wasn't an unimpressive feat, not only because of the points, but the guy didn't miss shots while he did it. He went 9 for 9 from 3, 13 from 13 from the field, and he hit 2 free throws. As far as shooting the ball, as far as the ball coming off a man's hands and going through the rim, Klay Thompson really showed us how it's done and might be, or you know what, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's just about the best shooter in the NBA right now. What do you think?
Well, him and Steph Curry, I mean, they both shoot the ball very well. What if this was like a little bit of like a grudge? He didn't get voted into the All-Star game, showing the people they made a mistake.
Yeah.
This guy deserves to be a starter.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's obviously going to get many more chances to be an All-Star in the future.
His career's
just beginning.
Yeah.
And boy, is he good on both ends, a great player. Part of the reason why Golden State is off to quite possibly a first seed in the West this year.
Yeah, and not only that, not only did he have the best fourth quarter performance ever, wow, that's crazy to say, but they had 100 points at the end of the third, and their opponents had about 60.
Yeah. Wasn't a pretty game.
you're fucked. That fucking sucks.
Yep.
That's terrible.
Adding insult to injury.
Yeah, they were not playing easy. Needless to say, he didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Didn't need to add insult to injury too much.
Right.
Rub sand in the wound.
It was already a humiliating defeat. So.
Yeah, that was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
But great game for him. I mean, I watched that game. It was unbelievable.
He just didn't miss.
Didn't miss. Tons of shots. It was complete domination. It was like watching NBA 2K.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so much fun when you can tell that a player understands how hot he is in that game.
Yeah.
And he's calling for it and he's shooting it with confidence, like possession after possession. It's just going in and in. Like I remember seeing guys like Carmelo do it and Kobe do it and guys who are really, some of the best in the NBA. And I think as if he even really needed one, that was definitely Klay Thompson's coming out party saying, heads up NBA, here I am.
Yeah, well now he's definitely on the map. I mean, there's a few up-and-comers as top shooting guard. We see Kobe Bryant's leaving. He definitely is going to be one of those guys. James Harden, DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy Butler. Those are the guys to watch out. Future of the NBA at the 2 guard.
They fill it up, man.
Fill it up. So we mentioned All-Star voting. We got the results. Everything's in. For a large part, I think the voters did a good job.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think with the exception of having Dwayne Wade be in front of Kyle for a lot of this race.
Yeah, but I mean, it only counts at the end, right? So I think for the large result of who got in, good job. Good job, Canada. Kyle Lowry's in the game. But more importantly, there's normally like a few guys that you're just like, huh?
How'd they get in there?
Yeah, why are they even there? And, there might be one. People are commenting on Carmelo Anthony. He's a great player. The game's in New York, but you can't be a starter when you're on the worst team in the entire league.
That's true, but on the flip side of that argument, the NBA All-Star Game is supposed to be a showcase of the best that the NBA has.
Yeah.
In terms of like the skilled, product they put on the court. You're talking about a guy who can play offensive basketball with the highest skill maybe
probably
that we've ever seen.
Probably the best offensive player in the entire league.
So it's hard to leave that guy out of the starting lineup. Like even if he didn't get voted in and somebody on a better team did, you'd say, well, he's not as good. Like he wouldn't beat Carmelo one-on-one. You know what I mean? So I in that sense, I understand putting Carmelo in there. It makes the show that much more exciting, like a better shooter in there. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying. He's on a team with about 7 wins this season, I think, 7 or 8 wins.
Terrible, but it's just such a slap in the face. I mean, the All-Star, we're looking at good players on great teams, and then you have a good player, great player, on the worst team. But I understand what you're saying. We all know the All-Star game's a wash, right? So you may as well put the best offensive player in the league, maybe of his generation even.
Right. Guys aren't playing defense anyway.
Yeah, onto the street ball team, essentially.
Yeah.
But for a large part, they did a great job. I mean, Pau Gasol is on the starting lineup. That was a great pick. Yeah, I mean, you give a guy his dues. He's having a revival season.
Yeah.
Great basketball. He's playing as a primary option on a great team run by Coach Thibodeau. He deserved it. I was surprised he got in, and I'm happy he did.
I'm actually going to go out on a limb and say, well, first of all, do we consider Powell a power forward?
He plays center now.
He plays center?
Yeah, I mean, he plays power forward for them. He's both. A 7-footer.
So is he the best big? I'll use the term big. Is he the best big in the East right now? Just, in terms of production and what he brings to his team?
Depends if you call LeBron James a big.
Interesting. I don't, personally.
He's a 3. I guess he lost weight. So.
Well, I know his body's like physically big, but I'm talking about just the way he plays the game. Like LeBron's a freak that doesn't fall into any category.
Okay. So like a guy who fits into that category of big guy. You're saying in the East?
Yes.
Him and Nikola Vucevic are having, both of them, unbelievable seasons. Could both vie for that position. Chris
Bosh is also doing beautifully down in Miami.
Chris Bosh
LeBron.
is doing great. Expanded role, but yeah, I think Pau deserves to get in that game as a starter. Good pick, everyone. But let's talk about Kyle Lowry. He made it. Our boy. He made it. Canada's very own.
Did we ever rally for that one? I heard on the broadcast so many times, #NBA ballot, trying to get everybody in the country to vote.
Stephen Harper voted.
Yeah.
We got Justin Bieber, who fucked up voting. He I don't know if you heard, he put on Twitter, everyone vote for Kyle Lowry, and when you retweet, it counts, but he didn't put the hashtag, so none of his
So it was
votes
a bunch of
counted.
useless retweets.
Yeah, so Justin Bieber pretended to vote. Drake came in, put a last-minute effort to rally some votes, and it worked. Our boy's in.
Yeah, we baxed him hard, and finally he's in. I mean, to me, if he wasn't in, that would be a horrible reflection on the league and how they pick their all-stars. He deserves to be there.
Yeah, I mean,
I do think he deserves to be number one. So
yeah, when you have a guy who's having not only like an all-star season but an MVP caliber season, you give him his dues. I mean, the guy's had a bit of a slump recently, but overall he deserves a selection, and is really just such a confirmation of the support that this team has. I mean, most teams could say that they have their city behind them, but we're the only one who says we have an entire country. It's unbelievable.
We the North, man. It's a real thing.
Unbelievable. Guy deserves it. If he has that in his salary to give him a bump, good. Hope he deserves it.
I hope he does have that.
He probably does.
He deserves it.
Do some little... I want to see him do a little all-star recruiting for us. Maybe go up to this guy named Kevin and go up to him and say, hey, Toronto's a beautiful city, man. I'm down for that.
What's Kevin's last name?
Durant.
Oh, I see. My goodness.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about that. I don't want to tease myself with those types of thoughts, but hey.
Yeah, that'll never happen. But unbelievable. I'm so happy that he got in. And in the West, I think they got it right too. The only thing, and it kind of makes me think of all-star voting reform, is in the West you have Blake Griffin, you have Marc Gasol, and another center,
Anthony Davis.
That's what you're gonna have Blake Griffin play the 3. I know this is like street ball, but it's just kind of weird.
Right. I think if you're a 3, a 4, or a 5, you qualify for the forward spot of the All-Star vote, right? So that kind of screws up that.
Like I can't see Blake Griffin play a 3.
Me neither. Well,
none of them.
I can see. We'll see come All-Star game what that looks like. But what's shocking to me is Kevin Durant finishing 5th.
Yeah, I mean, he was injured for about 5 weeks, so I understand that. Same thing with DeMar. But what I was more surprised of, well, I understand because of the way the voting's going, but they should think about doing maybe 2 forwards, two guards, and 1 kind of flex spot, just highest. Because, you have guys like Klay Thompson and James Harden. These guys could easily play the 3.
Right.
And just because they're in a shooting guard, just because they're primarily a guard, I mean, they didn't make it. They had higher votes than Blake Griffin.
Right.
And they could play the spot better than Griffin, and they deserve it more than Griffin, really.
And a lot of times this like fan voting system can often lead to one of 2 things. Either it's a popularity contest, which should not be what it is, or other times a fan votes for who he thinks is the best basketball player. But that's not always in tune with what an all-star game is supposed to look like. Like I see here, Marc Gasol got voted in 2nd. Marc Gasol is also having an MVP caliber season and is an amazing big in the NBA, tops in the league. But is he like an all-star? Is that the type of show that he puts on? Is like an all-star type of game with flashy skill and?
So you're saying you want the flashy players? That's your definition of an all-star?
Yeah, because it's not supposed to be like a balanced, beautiful display of basketball. It's supposed to be like every play is a dunk and nobody wants to play defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I guess so. To me, it's really give the great players their dues. I mean, there aren't a lot of centers that are just these high-flying guys, right? Like Al Jefferson in his day would have been one of the, like if we put Al Jefferson in the 80s or something, he would have been perennial all-star type of guy, right? But he's not a high flyer. It's just same thing with Mark. Great players on great teams. That's who I want to see there.
You think it's an accolade that should only go to those who really deserve it through their play this year?
Yeah.
All right, and that brings us to the end of that topic.
Let's take a quick break.
Yeah, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back to discuss further things. Hang on.
Okay, Jacoby, we're back from the break. We're about to introduce a new segment called Quick Predicts. So this segment, we're going to make a couple predictions about the next week, stuff in the headlines, but the constraint is we only have a limited amount of time to do so. So quick yes-no answers, and then about 15, 20 seconds to give a short reason why, okay?
Gotcha.
We'll each respond to it, okay?
All right.
Okay, so the first one is Sean Marion just announced that after this season, he's going to retire. So the question is he going to be, not right away, not a first ballot, but down the road in our lifetime, Will he be a Hall of Fame player? Now, we should mention that he is the only player in NBA history who's notched over 15,000 points, 10,000 rebounds, 1,000 blocks, and 500 three-pointers. What do you think, Jacoby?
It's so close. We discussed this whole Hall of Fame versus Hall of Very Good in the last episode. Do I think he makes it? No, I don't think Sean Marion gets put in the Hall of Fame. How about you, Kyle?
I think he's going to be in a Hall of Fame. I think the Hall of Fame is not as prestigious as we think. We think there's a Hall of Fame and then like the League of Legends. He's worthy of the Hall of Fame. That statistic alone puts him in a category of 1. Next, JV and the All-Star Game. So JV, we talked about the All-Star Game and voting. We didn't mention that he came 8th in forwards voting. That means he beat out people like Joakim Noah, Nikola Vucevic, Paul Millsap, Al Horford, and Al Jefferson. That's amazing. He's a third-year player in the league, and now that Dwayne Casey's given him a bit of a longer leash, he's playing great. So will he be an All-Star this year?
How many spots do they have? How many spots do the coaches vote on?
About 6, something like that.
I don't think he'll be an all-star this year. I don't think
forwards.
I don't think he has got the reputation to penetrate that type of vote from the coaches. Maybe they think he's better than the player they're putting in, but they haven't earned the respect from him. They don't want to do him that favor yet. And so no, I don't think he'll be there.
Yeah, I agree. No, he's not going to be an all-star this season. He's too young, too raw, doesn't have that all-star reputation, hasn't gotten the trust of the coaches yet. Down the road, I think it's possible. The future's looking bright for him, but not this year. Next, let's look at wins and losses this week. So the first one we got is the Pacers. We're playing them on the road. How's it going to
go? I think we should beat them. We finally put 2 wins back to back. We'll be looking for a third. I think the Raptors are going to get back into a better streak. A win against the Pacers should come without much difficulty. I see the Raptors taking this one. How about you, Kyle?
Raptors take the W. Pacers are a well-coached team. They're still good defensively. Not a great team on paper, not a great team in the records. They're taking this one. Next, we got the Kings. We're playing this one at home.
Yes, that's right. On Wednesday of this week, we got the Kings at home. I think, again, that's an easy win for the Raptors. One of the worst teams in the Western Conference. They don't seem to have it together right now. The Raptors looking to build momentum after the weird streak that they're just coming off of. I see them winning both those games. How about you?
I see them winning against the Kings. If you asked me a few months ago when they still had their head coach, Mike Malone, I'd say no. But now that DeMarcus Cousins is a little angry at management for firing him, he's not playing as well, I say this is a win. Rudy Gay, fuck you. Okay, next, we're on a back-to-back road. Firstly, against Brooklyn. Rivalry match. How's it going to go?
I won't be caught dead saying the Raptors are going to drop a game to Brooklyn. I guess this is a fully biased answer, but the Raptors got to win, and you know what? They're going to win by 20 points.
Wow, that's a big statement. I'm going to say they're going to win for one reason. I'm going to be at the game, showing some love. They're going to win, just for me.
Look for Kyle on TV, listeners. Look for
I'll be
Kyle.
high up in the cheap seats. Yeah.
All right, the second half of that back-to-back. On Saturday, they are in D.C. to face the Kings of the East that right now, as we speak, do they get the win in Washington, Kyle?
No, I think they drop this one. The Washington Wizards are a great team, got veteran leadership. They're, on paper, just as good as the Raptors. Playing right now, just as good as the Raptors, if not better. I say they drop this one.
Yeah, the Wizards really surprised me this year. I didn't think they'd be anywhere near the top of the standings, which is, they're really a bona fide favorite in the East right now. I think the Raptors drop this one, too. They're not quite ready to bang with the big boys in the East yet.
Not right now, not the way they're playing. So that's the quick predicts. First of many. You like it?
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah,
Bring
I like
on
it.
these segments. They're great. So far, the debuts have all been slamming successes.
Yeah, this is what the fans want.
We gotta give the people.
Man, we're gonna get sued.
Give the people what they want. Yeah,
we're so gonna get sued.
Don't get fired, Kyle.
Oh my. So next we're on the starting 5.
Yes, this is a segment that the listeners already know and love.
No, they don't.
Yes,
Episode 4.
Oh, we
got
never
deleted.
Of course. Okay, so why don't we get into the episode 4 story now that we've just dove more deeply into that.
We made the greatest episode of our short Rapscast career. Episode 4 was legendary. We made new segments. They were fantastic, weren't they?
They were great. It was good energy.
Yeah, good energy. We had a good vibe. We were killing it. Feeling great on the mic. And then,
except for one major technical difficulty.
We didn't get recorded.
Yes, there was only one of the 2 mics that was actually working. I tried to edit it as best I could, but the disparity was too large, and that is why there is a big gap between episode 3 and 5 on the YouTube channel or Rapscast.com or however you consume this amazing piece of journalistic podcasting.
So we let you down. We're sorry. We let ourselves down. We're sorry. But we're back. We're better than ever.
Yes,
right,
we
Jacoby?
are.
So let's do it. Starting five. We'll introduce it again. The starting five is a segment we're going to do 5 things about the Raptors every week. It might just be something we want to talk about. It might be about current headlines. Let's just get at it. Right?
All right, well, the first one we're talking about today is JJ's struggles in the past few games. He went from being a starter to playing about 10 minutes a game, definitely under 15 per game. This has been a trend over the last few. Kyle, why do you think this is happening, and is it the right move for the Raptors?
You know, I don't think it's a good move for the Raptors. James Johnson has been one of the few players this season that's really brought it just about every night. I think the same could be said for Tyler Hansbrough. Unfortunately, Tyler Hansbrough doesn't have very much skill. But James Johnson is a hell of a player, and it seems like he's become Dwayne Casey's new whipping boy. And unfortunately, Dwayne Casey has the type of attitude that once you're the whipping boy, you're staying that way for a long time. Ask Jonas Valanciunas.
Yeah.
He knows how it feels. So I don't think it's a good thing. He's a great player, and his talents are wasted on the bench. We're giving too many minutes to Terrence Ross, who maybe has a great potential, but hasn't been playing great of late. I don't see why he's on the bench. What about you?
I think Dwayne Casey's really playing with fire here. Before this year's stint with the Raptors that JJ had, he was known around the league as being a bit of a malcontent, a bit of a hard guy to coach, a problem causer more than a problem solver. And I think when you start giving a guy things to be worried about, like his playing time dropping drastically, or just the whole attitude, or being Casey's whipping boy, you're really tempting him to go back to some of his old ways where once he's displeased, he starts acting like a bit of a fool.
Yeah, I agree with that. And so this all started, I mean, we can't say this has happened for no reason. It seems like when this all started, taking James out of the lineup, out of the starting lineup, putting him on the bench for really a long time, is he got a technical foul one game about 4 games ago for kicking the ball or talking back, something like that. And the game after, did not play, coach decision. Game after that, about 10 minutes. He's been playing about 10 minutes since. It's been about 4 or 5 games of this pattern. So I understand you get a tech, you punish the player, but it seems like since then he hasn't been himself when he's on the court, and he's also not had very much chances to be on the court. It's really unfortunate because he's just such a great player. He's someone the Raptors, when they go against someone, they game plan for him, and why take such a versatile weapon off the bench? I mean,
great point.
He's a guy, he can play the small forward, he can play the power forward. Ross is on the bench now. I understand if you want to put him as a 3 guy, you could still put James Johnson as a 4. He's a great 4. Not all 4s could shoot. He's not a great shooter, but he's faster. He could defend the 4. And Tyler Hansbrough is not a 5. They're the same height. James Johnson has longer arms. James Johnson is a bigger player than Tyler Hansbrough. He doesn't play as big. But
he's physically larger.
Yeah, physically larger. I mean, I just don't see a world where we could, why does it have to be the lineup? The front court is Hansbrough and Patterson. Can't there be some kind of Patterson, James Johnson mix? That's a great offense-defense lineup.
I suppose they're afraid of going too small.
Yeah, but a lot of teams are going small against the Raptors. They're trying to beat JV. I just don't see why we're wasting this guy's talents.
I think there's probably more to this story than just the tech. Like maybe something's going on off court with him.
It's very possible.
There's personal issues. He could be banged up a little bit. There could be a whole mess of things.
The official reason that Dwayne Casey actually said is that his minutes have gone down since now that Grievous Vasquez is in the starting lineup. The result of it is JJ's minutes are going down.
But they have such different roles. I'm not sure how much of that I buy.
Yeah, I don't really buy that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Me neither.
I don't see how that happens. So thing 2.
All right, thing 2. So we're talking about the 2012 NBA entry draft, the one where Toronto selected Terrence Ross early in the first round, and we're going to throw up a complete hypothetical here. If you're Masai Ujiri, who I do believe was responsible for that draft. No?
Brian Colangelo.
Okay, so if you're Brian Colangelo and you have a chance to
redo it?
Redo the 2012
I'm pretty sure Brian
draft.
Colangelo would redo a lot of things.
Yes, I'm sure he would. But anyway, you're at spot 8. T. Ross is still on the board, but so are a number of other great NBA, potential talents. Kyle, who do you draft to that 8th pick?
Well, we're not gonna look at it as like at the time, sort of at the time, but more of 3 years
Revisited.
down 3 years down the road, who would have been the better pick, right? 3 years is enough time to really see who's a bust, who's not, what type of players these guys are, and who should have been drafted higher or not. So, I mean, the guy who got drafted right after was Andre Drummond. At the time, there were some red flags on his personality, and yes, I would have taken him over Terrence Ross because he's a better talent and you could trade him, but I understand why he wasn't taken. And the reason is we have JV. He was a young prospect. He still is a young prospect. And JV may become a better all-around center than Andre Drummond. So I'm not so hung up on we needed to take Drummond unless we wanted to flip him. What about you?
The thing about Andre Drummond, in my opinion, an NBA team can never be too big.
Okay.
You can never have too many bigs. You can never have too many good bigs. Even if there's somebody already filling a role, having a big that comes off the bench that's productive to me is just as important, if not a good amount more important than having guard play that can come off the bench.
Yeah.
You need bigs to make a difference in every minute of the game.
Don't get me wrong. I think he's a better player than Terrence Ross, a better pick. But I'm not saying, oh my God, we could have had. It's not. Right. I'm not losing sleep over him.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm losing sleep about, let's say, Mo Harkless. Mo Harkless was picked 15th in a pick that was conveyed via the Dwight Howard trade to Orlando. Right now, he hasn't played a lot this season, but the guy's a great fit for the Raptors. High potential, high basketball IQ, great defender, great long defender at the small forward.
Puerto Rican international.
Oh, I didn't know that. Great shot. Great player. He would have been a terrific fit for the Raptors, and more of a three spot than Terrence Ross will ever be.
Again, I think this is something we're going to have to revisit. It's so hard to say early in these guys' careers. We don't even know what type of weapons they're going to develop, what T. Ross's game is going to look like a few years down the line, or Mo Harkless, or even Andre Drummond for that matter. So I think it's kind of hard to say this early. I'll tell you what, I would have taken Drummond over T. Ross, and I think the Raptors right now would be a better team with Drummond instead of T. Ross.
Yeah, me too.
Imagine Amir could come off the bench.
Well, no, that wouldn't happen. Both Drummond and JV are too slow to play the 4 spot. It would be more like Drummond comes off the bench, gives energy. It would be fantastic.
As a backup center.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. Yeah, of course I would take Drummond, but, I guess I'm not losing sleep. I would have rathered Mo Harkless. I would even prefer
Evan Fournier.
I didn't expect to say it, but he's having a great year this year.
He's also got the man bun.
He's got like that it looks like the guy from Avatar. I love it.
Yeah.
I would take Evan Fournier. He's playing better than I expected. I was kind of disappointed.
He's extremely crafty. I love all these like international guys that come in and they play the game in like a non-orthodox fashion. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, I was disappointed when the Magic traded Aaron Aflalo for him, but it seems like I'm wrong. Thing 3?
Sure.
Let's do it. So, thing 3 is we've been talking about Dwayne Casey, and it seems like Canada and all of the Raptors fans are kind of getting fed up with him. And a lot of people are calling for his head. They want him gone. They want him fired. Some people have even said that they should try to trade for Tom Thibodeau because the Chicago management isn't very happy with him, how they're doing this year. So what do you think about that? Do you think Dwayne Casey has done a good job? Should he be fired? Any thoughts?
I think the talk about the firing is total nonsense. I mean, I think you have to take in consideration his overall body of work and not the past month for the Toronto Raptors. Look at what he inherited, and if you also even look at what's on paper right now for the Raptors, they're not up there with Chicago. If you just actually compare the roster on paper, they don't have the bigs, they don't have the front court, and they just have, 3, maybe 4 standouts, but definitely guys that are not credited around the NBA as being good NBA starters. At least not yet, not to this point in their career. And I think if you look at what Dwayne Casey gets out of them, like on a night-to-night basis, if you exclude the past little stretch that, of course, hasn't been the most flattering, he's done fantastically well. He's turned Kyle Lowry into what looks like is going to become a perennial all-star. He's gotten DeMar DeRozan to get to basically his ceiling, which I think he's at right now. He's been getting great production out of each and every player, and I like what he's done in his tenure here. He's taken a team that was really towards the bottom of the NBA and didn't have that much hope, and now look where they are. They're fighting for the top spot in the East, so I think he's done great. And, what he's done in the past 10, 20 games shouldn't cast a shadow over his long tenure here in Toronto, over which he's done brilliantly. What do you think?
I think he's a great coach. I have a lot of respect for him. Great interview. Loves basketball. One of my favorite people in the Raptors organization. And I don't think we should fire him. I think he needs more of a chance. But, I was thinking about this over the week, and he's a great coach. You're thinking, oh, this team's third in the East. Why would you fire him? And he really gets good things out of his players, right? I mean, Kyle Lowry's a player that's had a long history of problems with coaches, and he's really reached Kyle Lowry, reached his players, and he seems to get the best out of his players. But then I thought of the example of last year. The Golden State Warriors fired Mark Jackson. And they already did very well last year.
Yeah.
They fired him. Everybody thought, oh, you're crazy, right? Yeah. They thought, you know what,
it was his first year, I believe, right?
Mark Jackson?
No, he just got done his first year.
No. He's been there. He was there for a few years. And they fired him. They said, you know what, he's not doing very well on the offensive end. Yes, he's drawing up great defensive schemes, but there are some problems. We don't need to go into those.
No,
and everybody thought, oh, you know what, putting in another coach, why? Look,
you're messing up a good thing.
Yeah, you're messing up a good thing, but good things could get better with a different coach. What if you put in another great coach, Tom Thibodeau? Well, this is what the people want.
Yeah, but will he really be available?
You don't know if it's true that Chicago management want him out, and there's been rumors of that for a long time, and maybe now is the breaking point. If the Raptors offer maybe a first-round pick, remember trades can only happen picks, so a first-round pick. Would they take it 1, 2? It could be better. I mean, look, they're both defensive-minded coaches. Let's not argue that Tom Thibodeau is a better defensive coach than Dwayne Casey. Now, on the offensive end, yeah, Tom Thibodeau hasn't had great success, but this year he's had like a revival on the offensive end. And, you know,
also credit that to Pau Gasol a little bit, though.
Yeah, to Pau Gasol, different personnel. And, it makes me think sometimes, even if a good coach, Mark Jackson was a good coach, but he had his flaws, and Dwayne Casey has his flaws. He's a bit too stubborn, and he doesn't draw up enough plays. If you sub him out for a great coach, it might be better. But I would not.
It's a big risk you're taking.
Big risk, and I would not make it this year. Definitely, I would not make it this year.
I think you'd upset the players. I think they like being under Coach Casey. Even though he's tough, they kind of identify
with his... They respect him. They get a lot
swag.
Out of him. Yeah, for sure. He has the biggest balls of all the coaches. I'll say that. But one thing that I just can't get over is the lack of drawing up plays on the offensive end. It seems like the players just go up to half court and then just look at each other like,
I've noticed it's a lot of like giving it to a certain guy in the spot that he likes.
Yeah,
not a lot of passing the ball.
Not a lot of passing.
Like if
ISO.
JV can get to the low block, then that's where the ball goes.
Yeah.
If DeMar has like a free throw line,
it's not team basketball, and it's a shame. And then what's with the end of the quarter? Everybody, there's no ball movement.
Just give it to Lou Williams.
Just give it to Lou Williams. No ball movement, and he takes up a contested shot. It's terrible. Mm-hmm. Now, I should say, on their last game against Detroit, he kind of did not do any of those tendencies, had great movement. I'll give it to him. But I love Dwayne Casey. I hope he stays. There are problems with him. There's problems with many coaches.
I'm sure he'll grow just like a player would.
He has grown every year.
And I'm sure he'll continue to do so. He's going to be a bright coach.
And he is a Masai guy. I mean, him and Masai, they're a great team.
Masai, the Canadian basketball Messiah.
Yeah, the Messiah.
Who appointed Dwayne. So, yeah, if we got to believe in every decision that guy makes. He hasn't made one wrong call since he's taken the helm.
He's got the golden thumb. That's what he has.
Yeah, boy,
so let's talk about thing 4. Thing 4 is Grievous Vasquez is now in the starting lineup over Terrence Ross. How do you feel?
Well, I can see why they do it. It definitely adds a different kind of versatility to that lineup that wasn't there before. Terrence Ross, however talented and athletic, is kind of one and a half dimensional. He either runs or he catches and shoots the ball. Whereas Vasquez moves around with it. He's a threat to pass or shoot it from anywhere on the floor. It definitely adds a little bit more offensive punch. The only thing that I don't like is these guys get tired quickly, and you always need a point guard on the floor. So I'm not sure about having both of them on the floor together really works out as a long-term solution. But it's definitely fun to watch. They're both very creative, and it's cool to watch 2 point guards playing together. What do you think?
I think it's a great decision. Grievous Vasquez, we've seen he hasn't had great success this year coming off the bench, so give him extended minutes, let him find his groove in the offensive lineup, get some of his mojo going. He's that guy, he'll start on the offensive line, they'll take him off early, sub in another guy, so I'm not so worried about how they'll work the guards. And I also think that last year, one of the best lineups they had was the 2-guard lineup, him, Lowry, and DeRozan. Yeah. So starting that, it's a very good lineup. You get the ball moving a little more. Grievous is a great facilitator. Kyle Lowry's looked for his shot a little more this year.
What happens when Kyle and Grievous are both burnt out? Who handles the ball for the Raptors?
That's the situation we'll have to address. But, Grievous Vasquez, his minutes aren't incredibly high right now. If you start him on and then just take him off first, sub him in, right? Don't play hockey-style lineups. If you don't play hockey-style lineups, it all works. But it's a great lineup. It had a lot of success last year. The only thing I'm worried about is on the defensive side. We saw last game against Detroit, he let DJ Augustine get by him pretty much every play without even moving. DJ drops career high 35 points. That just can't happen.
Yeah.
We know he's a terrible defensive player. I mean, I guess it's a give and take, right? And Terrence Ross isn't exactly competing very hard for the spot, so it's a no-brainer.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Thing 5, let's do it.
Fifth and final thing in the starting 5, yeah, we're going to talk about a guy that we've
ignored largely.
We've kind of been crapping on.
Yeah, we haven't really been nice to him. I guess he's showing us up. JV, Jonas Valanciunas. He's stepped up these past few weeks.
Yeah, I think
double
so,
machine.
It looks like mentally he's on a different page now. He has a type of confidence and a type of focus and determination, and he's hard down in there. He wants to get those buckets, and he's looking to get the ball and make the move and score. He looks more mature and more confident than ever.
What do you think it's a result of?
Just time in the league, just more games, more reps, time in practice, time around the team. It's like people need to adjust to a new.
Things are coming together somehow. It just seems. I think it's a combination of a few things, and one of them is JV is a very emotional player. He's one of the players that I find plays with his heart on his sleeve. And so when he's really pissed off, well, sometimes that's a good thing. When he gets pissed off, he gets angry. And when he gets angry, he plays well. But
you won't like him when he's angry.
Yeah. But I think he responded to the fans a lot. They voted him. He came up 8th in forwards, and I think he was really proud. He has a strong following in Canada and Lithuania. Really proud, a proud Lithuanian. And I think that gave him a little more confidence in what he's doing. So that might be some. And I also think 2 other things. Firstly, that Dwayne Casey has switched whipping boys to JJ. So JV is on a bit of a longer leash, which is great. Now he can play without the worry that, if I make a mistake, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a large part, let's say the entire fourth quarter against Detroit, he was out. But, that's because they played small ball, and he's too slow for that. But he's gotten a longer leash, and he could find his rhythm more, play more comfortably. And that's what a player needs, especially a young player. And then the third thing, and I think this is a large part of Kyle Lowry, our homeboy right now. I think he realizes that if DeMar wants to have a great postseason run, they have to recognize that JV is their third star.
Right.
Right? If they are making a big 3, it rests on him, DeMar, and JV. JV has to be that third guy. And they have to develop him. They have to give him touches. They have to get him to learn rebounding position, and he's done a good job at that. And they have to get him into a complete player ready for the postseason. Someone that teams game plan and are scared to go up. Jonas Valanciunas and the Raptors.
I think he's developing into that. I mean, first things first, I think the guy's got all the tools needed to be a top center in the NBA.
He's looking great.
On both ends. Like, he's got the size, he's like hard, he rebounds, he defends, and he's also got a good post game. He goes over both shoulders, he can spin both ways, pump fakes, all this kind of stuff.
Pump fake is terrible. Let's not lie. That
pump
fake is terrible.
The face-up pump fake, like, pre-drive is terrible. But once he gets down low, he moves the ball around nice.
Yeah, he's very crafty offensively.
Yeah.
He makes mistakes on the defensive side.
Who doesn't, though?
Who doesn't, right? But, he's trying. You can see he's trying, and he works hard, and he plays with pride, and he's very happy to play basketball, and that's everything you want in a basketball player. That's everything you want in a young man that you want to build your team around, right? He's a great foundational piece, and he's really stepped it up. Like, I'm so impressed with him.
If he continues to improve at this rate, he'll be the best center in the league in about 2 years, maybe not even.
Maybe. I mean, he's making he made Andre Drummond look foolish last game.
He continuously makes teams with good bigs look non-existent.
He thrives on that.
I think he circles those matchups.
Yeah, he
circles
it
cares
up.
Who he's playing against.
Andre Drummond, he dropped 20 points, 12 or 13 rebounds against them.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. He's playing fantastically. Not only is he making these like 20-point games, but he's doing it on only like 8 shots.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's fantastically efficient games, and I think it's really coming in just the realization that he has to be an integral part to this team.
Yeah.
they're not going to get anyone else.
And I think the confidence he gets from the real leaders of the squad, like DeMar and Kyle, is paramount. Like he hears that and he just wants to go out there and put it all on the line for his homeboys.
And he's he's passing it better now.
Yeah.
Or passing it all. So
I
passing it all is better.
I think somebody had a chat with him or something. But yeah, absolutely. He
Maybe
actually looks to pass.
I think he listened
sometimes.
to us. He listened to us on our podcast earlier.
That must be
passing
what it is.
That's what I think. So we're done. Our second, but our first starting 5 that people will hear.
Yeah, well, we hope you guys all enjoyed it. And
good.
off to break we go. We'll be back talking about the Raptor of the Week. Stay put. Welcome back to Rapscast episode 4.5, or it might be 5. Anyway, we're going to introduce you to our another new segment. This again made its debut last week, but for reasons that we previously explained, we couldn't bring that to you. This is the Raptor Player of the Week. One thing you need to know about this is that it's not necessarily praising this person. You could be in the news for a more negative reason, or you could have just had a horrible week, and we will put you as Raptor of the Week. So it's the standout Raptor of the Week, and not necessarily the best Raptor. So
it doesn't even need to be a Raptor. Sometimes it could just be like Lisa Ann.
We don't even know why it's called Raptor of the Week, but it's called that.
You have to be something involved with the Raptors.
Okay, so it couldn't be like this pen.
Yeah, this pen cannot be a
Raptor of the Week.
No, we cannot be a Raptor of the Week.
Okay, well, who is your Raptor of the Week, Kyle?
It's Kyle.
It's Kyle
Lowry. Kyle Lowry.
And why is that?
Anytime a player gets voted into the starting lineup of the All-Star game, bringing some Toronto and Canada some love, you're going in my Raptor of the Week. That is the very least I could say about you. So, Kyle Lowry, you are awesome. You are fucking awesome.
Congratulations
and you are my
to Kyle
Raptor
Lowry
of the Week.
Yes. The first Raptor representative at the All-Star game since DeMar did it, I think, a number of years ago.
DeMar was last year.
Last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
But one of the first players to be voted in.
Okay, as opposed to
I think Chris Bosh was voted in, Vince Carter was voted in. That's it.
And now Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry.
So that does mark the beginning of a new era, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's really making his mark on the Toronto Raptors organization.
Yeah.
Unbelievable player.
Very
Raptor
popular
of the week,
man
buddy.
in the city of Toronto right now.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of the most popular athletes in all of Canada right now.
Yeah, probably. It's
like
hard
Canada-wide
to penetrate that
support
market if you're not a hockey player, frankly. But
yeah,
he's close.
No, but like of Canada-wide support,
yeah,
probably him.
I'm sure.
Good job, buddy. Who do you think?
Okay, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. Well, I don't disagree. I mean, congrats to Kyle Lowry. It's amazing to be an All-Star and to represent this country. You know, for the first time, to be voted in for the first time since CB4 did it way back when. But my Raptor of the Week goes to a guy who I think overcame a lot of pressure and adversity. It's DeMar DeRozan. Coming back into action after that groin injury to a team that really was starting to struggle without him. I think at a point they put together 4 in a row losses. So coming back into that could be like a daunting task, especially when you're looked to as a first option offensive guy the way DeMar is. But it looked like he didn't miss a minute of action, and that his groin was actually just fine. I don't think he scored less than 20 points in any of the games he's been back. He's back to his all-star form, filling it up, being versatile, playing for the team. Really been nice to see him come back from injury with such courage, and he's just walking out there and doing his thing as if he never got hurt. So kudos to DeMar. You're my Raptor of the Week for that kind of performance that you showed us.
Definitely for that last game against Detroit, he had his first, he's had some good games since he's been back, but that first game that we really saw glimpses of the old DeMar.
Getting
really
to the line.
Getting to the line, playing aggressively, playing fast. He had energy, he had legs, great hops. He really played his game, took effective shots, made them a very impressive week, especially their most recent game for us as we're recording this, that Detroit game. Very impressed with him.
I think he's definitely one of the more focused players in the whole league.
He probably has the best, if not one of the best work ethics. Hardest working player, and he really wants to be the best. Unbelievable player. So he's our Raptor. Well, he's your Raptor of the Week. Kyle's mine. Let us know if you agree or disagree, or tell us who you think's the Raptor of the Week.
How do they do that, Kyle?
They can comment on YouTube, Tumblr, Facebook, whatever the hell you want.
Or you can email us at rapscastnba@gmail.com.
That's our email. Send us love, send us hate. If you want to hear something next week, you could send us the email or YouTube, whatever you want.
Or just tell us how your day went. We just want to know you exist,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, that's it. We want to know people are listening, people love us. Also, we were talking, and if you want to send us hate mail, do it. We will. If it's funny, I'll read it.
We'll read it out shamelessly.
Yeah, shamelessly. If it's funny, I'm reading it. I want this on our podcast.
Bring it on, fans and haters alike. We want to hear from you. So again, that's rapscastnba@gmail.com. We've also got a page on Tumblr, Facebook, YouTube, whatever avenue is yours.
Yeah, follow us, like us, subscribe to us, whatever it is.
Stuff.
Yeah, and just the last thing is, I told you this, I'll tell the fans, I'm going to be in Brooklyn this weekend, Friday through Monday. I'm going to see that Brooklyn game against the Raptors.
So look for Kyle, guys.
Yeah,
I'll protect the man.
Yeah, protect the man. I'm going to be holding a big We the North flag. Maybe a fuck Brooklyn t-shirt if I'm willing to get stabbed.
Be careful with that, man.
Yeah.
Be careful.
Yeah. It's going to be a good weekend.
Tough hood.
Great game.
All right, well, thank you for listening, everybody. That wraps up episode 4.5.
4.5.
We'll see you next week.